Gail, has it been a trying time? How would you describe your time here in Brazil so far?
Well, it's been a little bit different than we thought it would be. I mean, we're obviously still very honored and excited to be involved in the project, and just the way it's gone is really, I don't think, the way it was depicted to any of the 8 of us who were initially vying for the position. None of us were led to understand how actively involved the landowners would be in the process, and how sometimes the decision-making processes have not gone the way that we would have liked to have seen them go. So yeah, from that standpoint, it's been a little bit more difficult than we thought.
So we're here at the beginning of 2014. Where is the project right now?
We have 12 holes completely shaped, bits and pieces of another 4 holes well shaped. So we actually have 16 green complexes completed, shaped at this point in time. So the last 2 holes are being cleared through the Restinga vegetation, and we're hopeful by February we should be able to shape those holes out. And we're kind of at a critical juncture in the construction. We're awaiting the irrigation materials to arrive from the United States. Hopefully the installation of those materials starts soon thereafter, early January. And if all goes well, we'll have water flying sometime in March, and we'll start putting grass on the ground then.
Now, you've got to cater for a men's tournament, a women's tournament, but beyond that, it's got to be playable, it's going to be open, it's going to be a public course.
Right.
There are a lot of challenges there.
Yeah. From a golf architect standpoint, that's always the most difficult challenge. How do you make the golf course playable for the average golfer and yet still make it challenging enough for the best players to score on? I think Augusta National is the perfect example of how you set up a golf course for both of those goals. You have a wide golf course off of the tee that's very playable for everybody, big greens, not a lot of water except down in Amen Corner, and it's a fun, playable course. You can get the ball around. But to score at Augusta, you've got to stand on the tee and really look at half of the fairway, because to get the proper angle into the green, you need to come for either the left or the right, depending on the hole location. Since Brazil really has no model for what a golf course should look like, I mean, most of the golf courses we've seen have a very sort of tropical Florida type feel. But the model, that's being a very sandy sort of windswept site. We don't want to make a links golf course because that's not really indigenous to this part of the world. But we thought the sandbelt courses around Royal Melbourne, their vegetation is very similar, southern hemisphere. We thought that was really a great model to look at. So that was our concept, what we presented to the Olympic Committee, and what we're trying to accomplish out in the field. So from that perspective, yeah, it'll be fresh because we've never attempted to build a golf course that looks like this. But I think within our overall general philosophy of trying to be as conscientious as we can with the native landscape, and anything that we have to build or construct, we want to make it look as natural as possible. So I think that'll be a consistent theme that you'd find on any of our golf courses.
Can we briefly go through the layout of the course then? The first 6, the middle 6, and the final 6, and the kind of challenges that you're presenting to the golfer, the risk-reward, etc.
Yeah, I think the golf course, when we first looked at the routing, Jim Wagner and I started looking at sort of dividing the golf course into 3 sections. There was the upper section, which really had a lot of character to it. There was natural movement in the ground. The middle section of the property was very wet, very low-lying, so we knew that that's where the irrigation lakes would go, and we'd have to raise those areas. And then the lower section of the property plays through the vegetation and through the forest, which is another beautiful section. So our thought was, let's try to get these 3 sections and get the holes to move through them in a different way. We don't want all, the front 9 to be on the upper, and then the back 9 to be in the lower and the middle section of it. And then what we wanted to do with the finish was to set up something really exciting. The potential for a lot of things to happen, whether it be 15 sort of a medium length par 4 starting in the lower section and playing up onto the dunes, and 16 a drivable par 4. 17 a very short par 3, and then 18 a short par 5. So, I mean, in our minds, if somebody could finish eagle, birdie, eagle, that would be the greatest thing in the world. Because, we've said this before, but all we're doing is setting the stage. At the end of the day, the story should all be about the performers, the athletes who play out there. And if we can create a stage where those guys and gals at the end of the day can put up some great numbers and get some excitement and things, the leaderboard can change dramatically towards the end, I think that's great theater for golf.
Realistically, when do you think the first 18-hole round will be played on this course?
Well, we play dirt golf out there already, so if you don't count that, we're probably looking at sometime late, well, it would be their fall, early winter of 2015, so sort of June, July. I know that there's a test event that's tentatively scheduled for August of 2015, so that's ultimately the goal that we're shooting for. You know, I feel good right now that we're going to hit that, but you know, if you talk to me in 62 months from now, if we haven't started with the irrigation and if we don't have some of the other issues settled on site, then my tone might be a little bit more pessimistic. But as of right now, I feel good about hitting that target. You'd like for a golf course to be as mature as possible when it's hosting a significant event, you know, like the Olympics, or if it were a major championship. The more time that we have to grow this in, the more body that's going to be there, the further that the golf course superintendent can push the product to make it firmer and a little bit more on the edge. As soon as a hole is ready to grass, we will grass it. We're not going to wait and grass all 18. I mean, we'll be just, as soon as we get irrigation in the ground, we finish the shaping, we finish all the detailing, that grass is going down.
One of my final questions, with regard to the adverse publicity that there has been, I mean, there's been a lot of coverage of the fact that there was nothing going on here for quite some time. I mean, how have you had to put up with that and deal with that?
Well, thankfully nobody blames us for it, which is a good thing. Yeah, I mean, it was difficult. Part of the major problem was at the time that we had committed, you know, with Tracy and Kaylee to be down here for that 6 or 7 months, you know, 2 of those months we weren't doing anything, so that made it even more difficult. You know, we had set our sights on the schedule that we were given by Rio 2016, and when that didn't materialize or turn out to be the right schedule, it's hard to readjust your entire life based around that. So I think from that standpoint, the world knows we're behind the original schedule, but given that we've now sort of all regrouped internally, either with the organizing committee or with the golf development people, we all feel like we're right on the schedule that was much more realistic.
Well, the very best of luck.
Well, thank you. It's been my pleasure. I've enjoyed it. Thanks.